Hello out there, my friends. It is I, Hondo Onaka. Now you know what to do. You must tune in to my favorite podcast, the Fiveish Fangirls. Otherwise, there could be consequences.
The Dungeons we continue all the way to episode 525 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. The winner of this tournament, the privilege, will have the honor of rescuing the beautiful Princess Fiona from the fiery pit of that dragon. Should the winner fail to return, the runner-up shall take his place, and so on, and so forth. Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like I do every week with a virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bengal.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello. And who would have thunk that we'd hit a
We have returned
for an episode?
Yeah. It'd be even funnier if we were recording on 525.
25.
But
true, yes.
Although we will be close by the time we reach the end of May. So we do have it scheduled out that far. At the moment. In pencil, of course.
In pencil, yes.
You don't do anything in pen when it comes to the fandom, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, because supposedly I think a certain trailer is supposed to drop sometime this week. Rumor for a certain tentpole fandom with a certain main character supposedly coming back, or a certain actor coming back as somebody else.
Oh, right.
All I know is Amazon, the powers that be, are doing a very good job of dangling that carrot and then just comes to good omens.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
They're like,
That
here,
too.
like they've been releasing pictures, just pictures. Although we've yet to see our two main characters, our ineffable idiots.
Yes.
Yes,
our ineffable idiots, yes.
Yes, our ineffable idiots yet. In what we've seen of the other angels. And then today they gave us
we like them, but we don't care about them that much. We want the name too.
Yes, and then today they gave us an 8-second video of somebody headed to Earth. That's is that Jesus? I don't know.
8 seconds, not a whole lot.
Yeah, eventually they're going to have to give us a proper trailer or something. Because it's next month.
Yeah. Which reminds me, I should probably get on my rewatch of that.
Yeah. But they are making us work for it. Whew. So, but yeah. We'll see. So, I mean, there's all sorts of... we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we talk about as we go through the news. Because stuff is happening in places. Speaking of trailers, we did get the trailer for that other Marvel movie that we're getting first.
Yep.
So thankfully, we got our first look at Spider-Man Brand New Day. And if you've not been watching Daredevil Reborn, you might want to, because there's a certain guy who wears a skull on his attire that apparently he and Spidey have gotten to know each other. Which, considering Matt is Peter's lawyer, well, he was until probably Matt also forgot who Peter was, but not that Frank ever knew who Peter was Spider-Man in the first place, I don't think, as far as we know. So, we don't have to worry about Frank has forgotten, but Matt probably has. But yeah, we got Frank Castle, aka Punisher, joining Spidey in this new adventure, and we'll see how things turn out. So I mean, obviously the fallout from No Way Home is a
Mm-hmm.
big deal. It's a big part of everything. Um, but in the process, life continues on, and Peter still is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, so he's got a job to do. But we're gonna get some familiar faces, not just Frank Castle, but Bruce Banner.
Mm-hmm.
And back in his human form. So I guess it's probably a little easier to teach. It looks like Bruce is maybe teaching a college course or something. Probably a little easier to get through the doorways and stuff as full human Bruce as opposed to Smart Hulk. Uh, easier to find, desks that he can sit at.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I did not see the hand coming though. I did not see the hand being an aspect of this. So we've not seen the hand in a hot minute. So I don't think we've seen the hand since what? The Defenders? Probably.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
So although it looks like maybe this version of the hand maybe has gotten a little upgrade. So we shall see. Should be good. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a wild ride. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I'm also a little excited to see Tom and Zendaya out doing press.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
considering they may or may have not gotten hitched
Right.
earlier this year, so it's gonna be a lot harder to avoid that question when they're doing press together.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, which whether they did or not, that's up to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're adults.
Right.
They can
Yep.
Exactly.
they can do what they want. If they want to get married, great. If they want to pull a Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell for their entire lives, they can do that too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's all good. That, and I'm excited to see what Zendaya wears. So she always has such her stylist. Whether he spilled the beans on them getting married or not, man, he is a really good stylist. So
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That girl's gonna be busy. I mean, she's already got the movie with Robert Pattinson that is now out, so she's been doing press for that. And now they're gonna get ready to do press for Spider-Man. And then Dune 3 is due out later this year, so she's gonna have to do press for that. And if she's in Doomsday, then obviously, she'll be part of that as well. So girl's gonna have a busy year.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the House of Mouse, as I was badly alluding to, we do have a D23 Expo coming up this August out in California at the Anaheim Convention Center, just down the street from Disneyland. And of course, there's going to be a lot of fun and exciting things. Obviously, the show floor / vendor stuff is always a huge deal. There's a lot of exclusive merchandise you can't get anywhere else. Sometimes they'll bring stuff out of the old school designs that they'll bring back that again you can only get if you go to this. But as every D20 Expo that has happened, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So they've had to meet demand. They have added new ticketing options, longer hours, and some of the big events like the Disney Legend ceremony is not going to be in the convention center. It's going to be moved to the Honda Center. There's also going to be a couple of special events week of because the expo itself runs from August 14th to 16th, but August 12th they're doing D23 night at Angel Stadium if you want to go catch a baseball game. And then they're going to be D23 Day at Disneyland on the 13th. But you can look, tickets have already gone on sale as we're recording this. So I imagine like the big ones, that give you access to like everything. I'm sure that's sold out. But if you want to try to get in even just a little bit of the action, you do have options. It's kind of cool. If I was closer, I'd be like, sold. And of course, they're already teasing some of the exclusive merchandise, like the limited edition pins that you will only be able to get. Of course, you've got some classic Disney characters, Sorcerer Mickey. I've got some princesses, Tinkerbell, Stitch. Of course, you got Oswald, which that's cool. Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, and Figment, which I know that's going to be a popular one. Is Figment. So, ba 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 ba. And of course, there's going to be all sorts of panels and presentations. You've got the Masquerade, which is their kind of cosplay costume contest. So there's going to be a premiere of a documentary from Leslie Iwerks, which if her last name sounds familiar, yes, she is related to Iwerks, one of Walt's 9 old men. So that's cool. And so if you want to enter the Masquerade, you can do that. Submissions to that are open until April 24th. Like I said, the show floor, lots to see, do, touch, marvel at, probably eat. I can almost guarantee eat. So although I'm not entirely sure what Lou and Becky are going to do because they've changed it so that they're not going to be able to have a booth this year.
Oh, that stinks.
Because DWD Radio / Mouse Fan Travel have been co-sponsoring a booth since the very first D23 Expo. But they're not going to have a booth this year, so I guess you're just going to catch them in the wild, as it were. Which I'm sure Lou will still be streaming practically nonstop the entire event. And of course, lots of stuff from all the Disney IPs and, Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, even Nat Geo, stuff from Disney Imagineering. They're going to have life-size sets from some of the Pixar movies. So if you've ever wondered what it was like to actually be a toy in Andy's room, you're probably going to be able to find out. There is, of course, going to be interactive things to do, including stuff from The Simpsons, which is now a Disney IP. Bluey is now in the Disney parks, by the way. I recently saw a picture of Bluey and Muffin in their granny outfits. Love it. There's going to be a Disney Lorcana tournament. If you remember, that was like the hot thing at Gen Con a couple of years ago. It is still going strong, apparently. So yes, they're going to have a championship qualifier, and the winner of that is guaranteed a seat at the North American Championship next year. So that's exciting. The Walt Disney Archives is bringing an exhibit of items that have never been seen by the public. They are so secured in the archives that you have to work for the archives to be able to access this stuff. So that's pretty exciting. I'm sure security on that's gonna be tight. And then of course a big deal on top of, as we get closer, we'll get more announcements as far as the big panels. Of course, there's always a parks and resorts presentation. There's already been a number of things that have are in the works that we know of, but there's always the chance that they'll announce something new. As far as the parks, resorts, cruise line, Adventures by Disney is concerned. And then of course you've got film entertainment. So we'll probably get some news as regards to animation, both the Disney Studio and probably Pixar. Maybe get some more hard information maybe on that third Incredibles movie. Maybe. Yeah. I'm hoping.
Who knows?
That is probably coming. 99.9% sure that it's coming. And of course Star Wars and Marvel, probably, I hope. So that's why it's like yeah, they do need to. It's like we've got Spider-Man, so they could keep the Spider-Man thing going. And then D23 Expo could be the time where they switch to Doomsday. But at the same time, you got to keep the hype train going. Who knows what we'll get in the way of Star Wars?
Right.
Maybe a new season of Ahsoka, maybe. That would be nice.
Yeah.
We just have to wait and see. But one thing we do know for sure is this year's class of Disney Legend Award honorees. So this is the Disney Legend Award actually goes back to the 1980s. But it's never been done on this scale until the D23 Expo started becoming a thing. Where they had like this big ceremony and all the pomp and circumstance. A lot of times, if you got something, some sort of recognition from Disney, depending on what it is, it could be in park celebration, like the handprints. They have the handprints in cement outside the building that's an homage to the Grauman's Chinese Theater that's at Disney's Hollywood Studios. There's a lot of legendary Disney actors that have their hand and footprints in cement. They're obviously getting a window on Main Street is also a big deal. So that's usually, if you go up and down and read the work, the art on the windows, for various businesses and stuff. They tend to be mostly Imagineers, but occasionally it could be someone else. But the Legend Award, having it being this big to do is a newer thing. But it's always usually a good mix of people that have been not that are worked behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, sometimes with talent, sometimes, as an Imagineer. So a little bit of everybody. So this year's class group of honorees includes Chris Berman, who worked on the television side of things. Jerry Bruckheimer, you've probably heard of him. If you've ever watched a movie at some point in your life.
Or if you've ever watched an episode, no, was he part of CSI or no? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
But Bruckheimer's got his fingers in a lot of stuff.
Yes, he does. Susan Egan, who you may not know her name, but you know her voice if you watched Hercules. She's the voice of Meg.
Yep.
Eric Goldberg, who is an animator. He's been there since the Renaissance, at least. If you watch any of the behind the scenes stuff, especially if you got like the special edition DVD that's got like the making of for the Disney Renaissance movies, like Aladdin stuff, you will see Eric Goldberg in some of that behind the scenes footage. It's kind of hard to mistake him. Anne Hathaway, the Queen of Genovia herself, among other things. So that's exciting. She's having a very good year this year anyway. So I'm very excited for Devil Wears Prada too. I just read all 3 books in like 2-3 weeks. So, and then one of her other books that's not part of the Devil Wears Prada universe. Bob Iger, recently departed head of the entire company. So Kim Irvine, she's worked in Imagineering. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, imagine that. Between of course Moana, both the animated and live action, but also the Jungle Cruise movie. Was that him? No. Did he do the Jungle Cruise movie with Emily Blunt?
Yes, yes, he did.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He also did the game plan.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so many movies. So many people. The Jonas Brothers, they've heard of them too. Kind of a big deal. Lin-Manuel Miranda. The man doesn't have an EGOT yet, but he is going to be a Disney legend. That's exciting. And Alan Tudyk. Considering you hear his voice in
the alien's getting an award.
Yes. Considering you hear his voice in a lot of animated movies, but you don't know it's him because he's usually voicing an animal and therefore doesn't get to talk. So, of course, in Wish he got to talk because the goat could talk. But
well, he was KSO4.
Yes, that's true. He does get to talk there too. But like, hey doesn't say much of anything.
No, he was the voice in the movie I, Robot. Not many people know that. That one got put under kibosh.
Wasn't he the bad guy in Wreck-It Ralph? Did he voice that King?
King Candy? Yes,
yeah.
I think so.
Yes, so
I believe you're all correct on that. So he's everywhere. He's just one of those. He's probably like the Jim Cummings of like this generation.
Yeah, that would be a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's like it's mostly voice. Occasionally you see his face.
Yep. Well, I mean, and of course he was in Knight's Tale.
Yes.
A little certain Western show that only lasted 1 season,
but is getting an animated
series.
Reboot.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Which, unfortunately, unless they do some like flashbacks,
when is
it set? Did they say?
I believe it's set after the movie. So I think because there's also at least one actor that they don't have anymore.
That sadly passed. Yep.
That has sadly passed. So I think they're going to maybe do some some maybe flashbacky type thing. So, I mean, hopefully, for the brown coats that gets off of the conveyor belt, as it were, considering the Buffy reboot, kind of died. So
yeah, and I don't think it was lack for trying, but I think it just happened to be one of the people that was in charge of the company that they talked to.
Yeah.
From what I've been able to investigate and gather. So who knows?
Yeah. So
not giving up hope yet, but audio is a good.
But again, with Buffy, they've lost somebody recently.
They lost two somebodies. They lost
Yeah.
two somebodies: Michelle Trachtenberg and Nicholas Brandon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one's been slightly more recently than the other.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. So that does make things a little harder too. So. So yeah, D23 will stay abreast as we get more announcements as far as what will be on the schedule and what fans could expect for this year. And like I said, I don't think the fact that they're not going to have a booth is going to stop Lou from streaming, as much as humanly possible. So I would say, between now and August, make sure that you're following Lou on the social media. So when he does go live, because all sorts of shenanigans happen, especially at D23. No. Oh, to be one of the people that happened to be nearby when a certain head of the Marvel side of things decided to show up and acted like he and Lou had known each other since high school. So jealous. So yeah, that's exciting. Closer to home, at least for us folks, Indie PopCon is next month, which I can't believe that's so wild. But yeah, Indie PopCon next month. I'm sure there'll still be stuff in the pipeline that has not been announced yet. I mean, right now they're doing the event battle kind of bracket on their Facebook page if you want to vote for your favorite event. But we are still getting some guest announcements, so hopefully I have to make see if Chrissy has any requests, because we are getting among some recognizable but kind of repeat voice talent in the way of da ba da ba da ba da. Did I mention Sean Astin's coming? I think I did.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. Good Lord, where did all the? I'm so behind. It's like I've been just so busy with work and everything. It's like I don't know what's all happening. That there's just so many events too. Like D. Bradley Baker, nearly all of the clone troopers in the Star Wars animated. Billy West, he's a returning guest. We've had him before. But we're getting like a number of the Sailor Scouts, including Linda, Sailor Moon herself, Katie Griffin, who is Sailor Mars, and Lauren Landa, who is, I believe, Sailor. Which one's the green one? Christine Marie Capito. So what? That's four out of the. Is there 4 or 5?
I can't remember. It's been a while since
I
I've seen
know.
Sailor Moon. Our Sailor Moon expert is.
Yeah.
Not here at
Chrissy would be like, no, they're this one in this, and they were from this year to this year, and they were in these versions, but not this one. So I'm so sorry, Chrissy, that she's like probably screaming at this at all of us for why don't you remember these things? I'm so sorry. I am Dory. I have the memory of a goldfish. You would think with pop culture stuff I would be able to retain that, but it tends to be the stuff that I regularly consume, and it's like I haven't watched Sailor Moon
some of the
in
stuff
a
you
long time.
And some of the stuff you haven't consumed in a while, it kind of disappears. Some of it comes back, but you've lost some stuff.
Yep, exactly. So exactly. So anyway, y'all know what we're talking about, who we're talking about. They're Sailor Scouts. Does there, obviously Sailor Moon, she's the head of the pack, as it were, but still, that's still pretty exciting. So
yes,
1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of them. So that's exciting. And then speaking of Chrissy,
Yeah,
is,
she's got a nice little
of course,
troop there coming.
Salt Lake Fan X is further away. It's not till September. But they gotta be like, we're a big convention. Look at all of these people that we're getting, which they're getting a lot of repeats because a lot of people that are regular on the circuit will do Salt Lake Fan X because it's kind of a they know what they're getting into. They know exactly what to expect. It's a pretty sweet deal. But apparently there was enough demand. I can't imagine why there wouldn't be, but yeah, they're getting like, that's pretty much like everybody in Critical Role.
With the exception of DM Matt Mercer.
Yeah. But as far as like our characters are concerned.
Matt's playing a character in this current campaign, and Brennan Lee Mulligan is doing the DMing. But yeah, we've got and Luis Carrasco, who is, but as a main character proper for Critical Role, yeah, Matt's the only one missing. The other, you've got all of them.
Yeah.
And Robbie's new to the group, but they basically told him point blank midway through season 3, you're one of us now.
Yeah.
Too late.
Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated.
Yes. You will become cast proper.
Which is fine by me, because I mean, like I said,
we're missing Ashley Johnson. We're missing Ashley Johnson. Now that I'm looking through that,
Robbie's one of those, like, again, you probably know his voice, but you don't know
we're
him.
Missing, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, the cast has gotten. I mean, from where they started.
Oh yeah,
it's expanded.
It's expanded, yeah. And I was saying, we're also missing Ashley Johnson and Marisha as well. Now that I'm looking at the list.
But it's only early April and the show's not till September.
So who knows? Maybe depending on things, they might be
scheduling may open up and allow them to.
Yeah. Considering some of the people that aren't there are also kind of in charge of main business proper too. So
I mean, I guess somebody does have to stay behind and watch the shop for the weekend, but yeah.
Right. Or unless I know Matt is starting to voice something that's going to be animated that I think that's going to be hitting YouTube or going to be coming something else. So maybe there's something to that effect. Unless so when those gigs come up, they sometimes do take them. So yeah. Or maybe somebody's got to stay home and babysit Omar, even though they do have a babysitter they do have a dog sitter that will
I mean,
corgi.
I am more than willing to fly out to Salt Lake and be babysitter for said critical corgi. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah. So. He's crashed. I'll have to send you some links because he's actually crashed the set while they've been filming some stuff.
I'm just saying. Although by then I might have my own, and they might get jealous if I leave them. But they'll get over it.
Right. Yes.
Or I take them with, and they become BFFs, and
exactly.
I have an ulterior motive. Yeah, that, and I would get to see. I would get to see Chrissy and
yeah, exactly.
Her husband and her kids, and probably Shalane too. But
yeah.
Just saying, Critical Role. They have a corgi, and I know corgis.
I can remember what you said.
I volunteer as tribute.
I did. I thought I did.
Yeah. Well, and apparently Stephen King's gotten a new corgi. Molly the Thing of Evil is not an only child anymore.
Oh, I did not see pictures of new said corgi.
Yeah, I forget where I saw the picture of Molly standing. Yoshi. He's the Thing of Good.
That's a cool name.
Yes. So I have Molly, aka the Thing of Evil. She's a dark, looks like burnt toast.
Yep, corgi. The burnt toast corgi. Yep.
And then Yoshi apparently is white, and he is the thing of good. So
here's hoping Molly does not corrupt him.
Yeah. But I just saw, I don't know where I was doom scrolling, I'm sure. And of course the algorithm knows me, so it's going to show me corgi related content.
Right.
And it was a picture of Molly and Yoshi like standing in the doorway at Stephen King's house there in Maine. Anybody can walk by. Brittany's walked by it.
Yes. Oh my
Hey,
God.
Dad.
Both my questions, actually.
Yeah, and both of them were standing, there in the doorway. So I was like, when did he get a second corgi? Because of course I'm always, I'm like, I think he posted a pic. He also posted a picture of just Molly recently because like people have been asking for an updated picture of Molly. I'm like, here you go. I'm like, yay! Everybody's getting corgis except for me.
Operative word is yet, my dear. Operative word is yet soon.
It's not if.
It's when. It has now changed from if to when.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. So Salt Lake Fan X, they've got a lot of time before their show, so yeah, they're not even close to being done with guest announcements.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because they'll probably be promoting Mighty Nine and then probably some of the live shows and then 4th season of Vox Machina. That's what I'm thinking the cast is going to be there for. Because I know Robbie's been voicing some other side characters, even though he's in Campaign 3. So, and we're all hoping that they are going to do an animated series of Campaign 3, which does feature him. Yep.
Cross our fingers, cross our toes.
Yep.
Cross your eyes, look at your nose. Summer vacation is so close. We're all getting stir crazy.
Yes. Yes.
Moving on to more housekeeping related news. We are in a new month. We have been for almost a week. I know we fell off the wagon there for a little while. So it was just one thing after another. I tell you what. So
between illnesses, tech issues, and
oh my
whatnot.
God, yes.
Yeah.
It's been a laugh riot.
Yeah, the universe was conspiring against us for a little bit, so hopefully that's on the upswing. Okay, so with book club, this month's book is Imaginary Friends. This is from the series that covers the first 6 Doctors. So this one covers the first Doctor, and it's in the 60s time period. I think it goes 60s, 70s, 80s, and then I think there's this. It goes through. It covers, I think, 1st through 6th, or they might have a couple Doctors grouped together. I've been kind of waiting to save this series, so I'm not sure about the others 2 through 6. But I know for sure most of this book is a first Doctor book from what I started reading. So.
And if you want to get in the first Doctor mood, it just so happens that there are some missing first Doctor episodes.
And
for those plan that you can now watch.
And for those of you in the United States, you just do a search for Classic Doctor Who YouTube channel, and they are there.
I love that in this day and age we are still finding lost Doctor Who.
Yes. I'm hoping that to paraphrase the Pokemon, we find them all. Or at least maybe try to animate the ones that are missing.
Yeah. Problem is in some cases that that as much as I'm sure they would want to, we really should dedicate an episode to talking about the lost media of Doctor Who. And what is missing and what's been found and all that fun stuff. but it's like
that would be a topic I'd love to cover.
Yeah, in some cases, it's like there's like so much, like pretty much anything other than people's memories of it don't exist. At least for some, we've got animated because somebody found audio.
Well, or a lot of people, thank heavens, had the smart idea to put a tape recorder up to their TV when they were watching and not saying anything to record. So that's why we have some of the audiobooks that we did, thanks to some of those fans. And more power to that. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
You were,
but I mean, in some cases, like,
thinking.
Like we've got like titles and maybe descriptions of what the story was, but like there's no script to be able to use to animate with. It's like we don't know what the sets looked like. We don't know what people were wearing as far as costumes. So it's like, I mean, when they say lost, they mean lost.
Where somebody wasn't there to take the telesnaps or record the audio.
Yeah. So, but every now and then somebody will find a broom closet somewhere
or an edit.
Come across something. So there's still hope. I know some people out there are still crossing their fingers and crossing their toes. Yeah. Certain stories, Marco Polo. Yeah.
Marco Polo. Highlanders for this girl in particular. I love me some Jamie.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And at least with that, we still have Frasier, but like, what's Frasier gonna do? Yeah. He can reminisce with the best of them, but that's about it.
Yeah. But you know what I'm getting at? It would just, that was his first appearance. So it would be nice to actually, see that in motion instead of just properly instead of the pictures and the audio. So, but thank heavens we have the audio of that.
Yeah. So that is the book club, and in your feeds, is that the episode of Next Stop Everywhere that you recently did? Is that out yet, Holly, or is that coming out?
It's
down the line.
It's coming out. It's coming out hopefully pretty soon.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure I can spill the beans because they always say in their other episode what's coming up. So I guessed it on the 11th Doctor episode, The God Complex.
Ooh, nice.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yes.
So if you're not subscribed to Next Stop Everywhere Doctor Who podcast, why not? You should do so.
Yes. If you do give a listen, they love feedback and tell them that we sent you.
Yep. Oh, and then over on Patreon for those supporters for Gold Standard, the Oscars podcast, we have March's Patreon exclusive episode where we talk about the Tom Hanks epic Captain Phillips, aka another reason why you should probably not get on mass transportation with Tom Hanks.
Exactly.
Or you should, because if something goes wrong, he can fix it.
That too.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on whether you're a pessimist or optimist, really.
It's a double-edged sword.
Unless you're a volleyball. In that case, you're screwed. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure none of our listeners are volleyballs, though. So. So we're probably fine there. If you do happen to be a volleyball and listening to this podcast,
we didn't know. We apologize.
Yeah, good for you, Wilson. We're so sorry if we hurt your feelings. So there's that. And in the regular feed, the clock has now reset for us to wait for the next year's Best Picture winner, because we have now reviewed this year's Best Picture winner, one battle after another. Oh my God, I want those hours of my life back. Not the recording, the watching of the movie. Even
You
bad
barely
movies, I'm
survived, huh?
happy. Even with bad movies, I'm happy to record the episode because then I get to shit talk all over it. But it's the watching of said movie. Like, oh, obviously, in the episode we get into it, let me just say, I had to pause and walk away from this movie multiple times before I got to the end of it. It's just, yeah, I really do not wish this had won Best Picture, but it is what it is. It's done. It's over with. And it's in the feeds for you. So there you go. All right, let's move on to feedback. Of course, it's been a hot minute, so of course, Shalane's feedback has piled up. So she covers a number of topics, including talking about the Wizard of Oz and how it's different versions of it are spread across different companies and the like, which I just recently went and saw the touring production of The Wiz.
Nice.
Which was a lot of fun. The lady sitting next to us was having a religious experience the entire time, which, you know what? You go, girl. You know, this is why the arts are important, because sometimes they affect people deeply, and in this case it was a good way. I'll say that. I'll say that much. So she was having a lot of fun. So it is good. It's a good, they've updated it so it's not so like obvious that this was made in the 70s. So it's got a mix of like every decade in it, so it's a bit more timeless that way, which is nice. So it's really cool. And then she mentions the rumor that we might be getting a movie, a biopic for Audrey Hepburn, which I saw that rumor too. So I'm surprised that has not been done already, to be honest with you.
You would have thought that they would have done a movie.
Before she came to Hollywood and became, Audrey Hepburn, the life she led before that was like, it's something. It was absolutely something. Like, there were days where she wasn't sure if she would see the end of the day, because of the conflict and stuff that was happening around where she lived and grew up as a kid into a teenager. So she's got quite the story, actually. So if that does become a thing, then I'm all for it. So and then she speculates who else we could get biopics about, including Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, or you could just go see Kiki Boots. Not really a Cyndi Lauper bio, but it's Cyndi Lauper music. She wrote the music. Elizabeth Taylor said she's still waiting for us to do Cleopatra on Gold Standard. Oh my god, Cleopatra! We'll probably do Cleopatra on Gold Standard at some point because it kind of deserves it. It is, I'm not a huge fan of the sword and sandal movies, as it were, like Ben-Hur and the like. I was just like, can I get those hours of my life back, please? Of course, Lawrence of Arabia, I just absolutely despise. But Cleopatra is such a spectacle that you can't help but have your eyes glued to it just because it looks stunning.
Well, and the coloring that they use for that movie was absolutely. Yes. I think it was the VistaVision or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, once they got rid of that coloring for colorization, it was just like, ugh. And then you watch those, it's just like, oh, give me that.
And I mean, the acting is not bad. That's the
No.
thing, is Elizabeth Taylor actually was a pretty good actress. She could chew the scenery with the best of them. But the behind the scenes, there's an anthology podcast series. It was done by TCM. They only did 6 seasons, as of us recording this, but the final season 6, was all about Cleopatra and the making of it. But it's hosted by Ben Makowitz, who is, he's a staple of TCM, as it were. Like, if you watch any sort of, like, when they do like a special presentation, he is at least nowadays, is the face that does the introduction and, like, trivia, give you bits and pieces kind of type of thing on TV sometimes. But I mean, he himself is tied to a Hollywood lore because his uncle helped write he helped write the actual script, or maybe it was just like the screenplay. I don't remember. His uncle. I think it was his uncle, because his dad also worked in Hollywood, and made a pretty good name for himself. But it was his uncle, great uncle. Anyway, it's been a minute since I've listened to the series. But it was either his uncle, great uncle, whatever, that helped write I believe it's the script, not the screenplay. He helped write the script for Citizen Kane. So, which is considered one of the greatest movies in all of the history of cinema. So, he's got quite the family history there to Hollywood, as it were. But yeah, I mean, all 6 seasons are pretty good. But yeah, if you want to get that juicy behind the scenes stuff, and not just the stuff with her and like Richard Burton, but there's like everything that went into making a movie of that scale and spectacle. It's just like, to whenever we get around to doing that a gold standard, me being the behind the scenes trivia person, for me to not want to talk about that as opposed to the movie itself. It's like, just go listen to the TCM podcast. They knew what they were doing. And my last name isn't Minkowitz. So anyway, back to Shalane's feedback. Sorry, Shalane. Elizabeth Taylor Cleopatra sent me on a thing. Gene Kelly. I'll just be happy when whenever the proper bio book comes out about his. I know Patricia's working on it, but it's slow going. And then Howard Ashman. I don't think necessarily with Ashman and Menken you necessarily would do a biopic. I think the documentaries are sufficient for that, in my humble opinion. So now, if they needed to be portrayed for something, like the Sherman brothers are portrayed in Saving Mr. Banks, that I can understand. Where they're part of another story, but I don't think Ashman and Menken, either as individuals or as a working duo, necessarily need a biopic. There's some documentary type stuff out there already. I think is sufficient. So, staying in the House of Mouse, a Twisted Tales book series, apparently upcoming Disney properties that are getting the treatment include Up, Lilo and Stitch, and Encanto. And then she's still hoping for books using the Jungle Book and Finding Nemo and Coco and some others. Emperor's New Groove. How would you do a twisted Twisted Tales version of the Emperor's New Groove? What if Cusco stayed a llama. Is that dramatic enough? I don't know. Do not know. Some of those are good ideas though. And the Disney villains books, she is hoping for books about Jafar, Scar, Dr. Facilier, Yzma, Oogie Boogie. Some of those are good. Maybe even some Pixar victims. None of them are victims. Are all villains. Although with the villains books, they do try to make them somewhat sympathetic, at least in some cases. Like Hopper or Syndrome. I'm surprised that she has not done Jafar yet. I think he would fit right in with the books that already exist. So would Dr. Facilier, I think. So.
Right.
She said the Twisted Tales books feel similar to Once Upon a Time, which I could see that. Going back to Kathleen Kennedy stepping down from Lucasfilm, she tried. Yes, she did try. So, yeah, I don't blame her. Honestly, yeah, that's a lot to take it. The thing is when Disney did these purchases, both the Marvel and the Lucasfilm, because you got to remember they didn't just buy Star Wars; they bought Lucasfilm, so it's all George Lucas. It's just they happen to be using mostly Star Wars and occasionally Indiana Jones, but which they already had a relationship with Lucas for both of those IPs anyway. But Marvel, when Disney bought Marvel, they were just getting their feet wet with Iron Man, the Hulk, this idea of what eventually would become the Avengers. But before that, like, you had some success with superheroes, but it tended to be DC. Obviously, the Tim Burton Batmans did really well in the late 90s or late 80s, early 90s. Later ones, not so much. Obviously the Christopher Reeve Supermans, at least the first couple, did well. The less we talk about the later ones, the better. But just in general, adapting comic books into film and having them be more than just maybe a one-off success was not a thing. Yeah. So when Marvel decided to roll the dice with Iron Man, with Robert Downey Jr., who was slowly making, on his redemption arc in Hollywood, and John Favreau, which at that point everybody's like, the guy who directed Elf? What? They were taking a big gamble, but they figured, what the hell? Nobody's doing anything with these characters. Yes, Sony had decent luck with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. But aside from Spider-Man, the Marvel IPs were not really much of anything that anybody was getting excited over. So they were able to roll those dice, and they just happened to, score big. Hitting it way out of the park right off the bat. Star Wars, when Disney did that purchase, one, it did make sense because, like I said, they'd already had arrangements with Star Wars, using Star Wars and Indiana Jones in the parks. So they were already licensing. So, like, instead of just paying George, year after year for the licensing, let's just buy it. One lump sum, call it a day. Problem is with Star Wars is there's a lot of history there and a very strong fandom already built in. Unlike with Marvel, at least as far as film is concerned. So Kathleen, bless her, the not the learning curve, but the amount of expectation, I guess, from the fans was a lot higher with Star Wars than it was with Marvel. Because with Marvel, they just kind of you had the comics and maybe the occasional cartoon series. All X-Men '97. What? And at first they did pretty good. I mean, obviously, The Force Awakens, up until the very last, like 5 minutes of the movie, everybody loved it. Uh, we all love these new characters in general. The haters are gonna hate. Thank you, Taylor Swift. But in general, people liked Ray. People like Finn. We all love BB-8. We're all like, oh, precious cinnamon roll, protect him, at all costs. But at the same time, people are like, where's Mark? Where's Harrison? Where's Carrie? And you did get some of that. But at the same time, it's like, I think a lot of the Star Wars fandom, and I can't say that I'm speaking to this from my own personal experience because I've never been a mega Star Wars fan. I mean, since Disney bought it and has done some of the new stuff, I've gotten more into it. But if you're like Star Wars or Marvel, I'm gonna be like Marvel, please. But Chauncey is a huge Star Wars fan, and for him, it's a lot of childhood nostalgia. It's a lot of fond memories from his youth, and when the new stuff doesn't give him the same warm fuzzies, kind of the knee-jerk reaction is to be like, well, this is awful, I hate it, go away, I never want to see you again. I'm slightly exaggerating, but I think you get the gist. So yeah, I think it was just the expectations between the two, these two big tentpole fandoms. Kathleen just had a lot more outside pressure from the fans it's like, okay, you got Star Wars, you got the Disney money behind it, do this and do it right. And when they, the fans didn't think they quote unquote did it right, you end up with where we are now for, with Star Wars as opposed to Marvel, where, it's just been big and big and big and big and big. And yeah, you've got some people that just have superhero fatigue. And yes, not every movie has been, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. But they've all generally been pretty good. And because they're building off of something that they obviously Disney didn't have a hand in, the first Iron Man, but the first couple of movies, but in general, they have been working with something that they built from the foundation up. So they created the expectations because they were like, this is where we're setting the bar, as opposed to Star Wars, where the bar had been set in 1977. And people have been expecting people to be able to reach that bar, if not surpass it since. Anyway, that's my rant. Tangent. So, yes, I do not fault Kathleen Kennedy at all. And I have actually been perfectly happy with what they have come up with within the Star Wars universe. But again, I don't have the nostalgia and everything to go with it either. So I may not be the best person to be like, I'm not going to hate on her, This says also Jennifer Lee stepped down from Disney Animation. She tried to, It's just one of those things where usually, I think I've said this before, usually, I say usually, like I have any like historical data to back this up, but in general, it seems like with Disney, either the studio, the movie, TV, entertainment side is doing well, and the parks are like, eh, or it's the other way around. And right now, it kind of seems like maybe it's both. Both are kind of dipping, so we shall see. So now let's see how Jared Bush does leading Walt Disney Animation Studios. We can have another Renaissance. Nobody says Renaissance only has to happen once. Thoughts on Metallica playing the Sphere in Las Vegas? I got tickets, baby! Chauncey and I will be there opening weekend.
Very cool. Very cool.
Nice.
Yes. That has been like the worst kept secret in the fandom for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like, Metallica's going to play the Sphere. Metallica's going to play the Sphere. Metallica's going to play the Sphere. We were all just like, it's not if, it's when.
Yep.
And finally they were like, yes, we were playing the Sphere. And originally they released like 6 weekends worth of shows, and almost immediately they had to add like another 6. And now it like they're opening the start of October. They're doing weekends, so they're doing essentially there are no repeat weekend like they've been doing on tour, where they've been stopping in a city and doing 2 shows, a show on Friday, a break on Saturday, and another show on Sunday, and you get completely different set lists both nights. They're essentially doing that, but at the Sphere for so many weekends, and then they'll leave, and either the Backstreet Boys or whoever will come and do a stint for a while. And it got to the point where it's like, oh, Metallica, starting in October for so many weeks, and then whoever's after that, and then they'll come back, and the next thing you know, they're scheduling shows at the Sphere for like next summer because the demand has been so high.
So they have a quasi permanent residency.
A little bit. Well, that's the thing with the Sphere is like unlike other venues in Vegas where somebody signs on to do a residency and they're there for 6 months with like with occasional break in there. With the Sphere, people are doing residencies, but they're residencies for 6 to 10 weeks or something like that. And then they'll leave and go do something else, and then somebody else will move it. And sometimes it's not even a band. Sometimes it's like the Wizard of Oz experience that they've had out there. So, but yeah, I mean, the Sphere was it was new-ish last time Chauncey and I were there almost 2 years ago. Really funny that we're returning to Vegas like almost 2 years to the day after last time we went. And we stayed the Venetian then, and the Sphere is right there. Is right behind the Venetian. Like if you consider the front of the Venetian, the side that faces the Strip, then the Sphere is behind it. On like that first cross street. And there's no missing it because it's lit up from the outside like 24/7. It's either showing ads for stuff or it's got its own like emoji type character that will make faces and do different things throughout the day depending on what's going on. And I've seen video of stuff from the inside. Like I've seen video of like the Wizard of Oz experience. I've seen video from one of the times that the Eagles have been there. There were another group that has been in and out of the Sphere since it opened. So I have an idea of what it is like, and I know what kind of show Metallica can put on, because the whole idea of the Sphere is you are essentially surrounded like 360 degrees by whatever show you are seeing. It's not just the stuff on the stage, but like the entire inside is just one giant screen that they can do these amazing, animations, and the video I'm sure does not do it justice, but if anyone wants to get an idea, go find somebody's video of Hotel California with the Eagles in there, and that will give you an idea of just how like, oh, almost overwhelming it is, inside this venue. So yeah, like Chauncey and I are all like, we're going, we're not gonna miss it. I was like, I don't even care which weekend it is, whatever tickets we can get, I will make it work with work. He's like, but your fall break is here. I'm like, I don't care. Don't worry about my fall break. I will make it work. They will be fine without me. They can survive. So, is being there the first weekend ideal? I mean, you get bragging rights to say I was there the first time Metallica ever played the Sphere. That also means that if there are any issues, any lumps, bumps, technical things that maybe they had realized might be a thing until it was full of people. Yeah. Are we going to get like the very best, experience because they haven't quite dialed it in yet? Probably not, but I don't care because I've already seen Metallica. I would have to take my shoes off to be able to count how many times I've seen Metallica at this point. So it's like, I know what they're supposed to sound like. So it's like, I'm really here just for the immersive experience more than anything. And I'm already imagining some
songs. Do you have a wish
some
list
songs
of songs
that they already kind of are cinematic as far as like what they do, like with their screens and stuff. So like one, that's the one I keep going back to. One, as good as it is as a track on Justice for All, one live, even just like regular, like even if you went to listen to one, like when they were touring on the And Justice tour, one live is still so much better than the album version. But after all these years of them fine tuning it and then adding the graph, oh my god, one is going to make me die, and I'm here for it. So, oh my god, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Like after we got our tickets and I was listening to Metallica on Spotify or whatever, and one came up, and it just kind of occurred to me, like, oh my god, this song is going to be absolutely mind blowing inside the Sphere.
I'm hoping that they would maybe with a few of those tour or Sphere tour shows that they would set up and tape and hopefully release like a compilation, concerts from the Sphere for those of us who couldn't attend. Just to be able to see some of those songs visualized on that Sphere.
Yeah. Obviously, assuming I survive. One is Metallica. Two, it's Vegas in October, which is still really hot. So assuming we survive, I will have a full recap when we return. So, but yeah, no, I'm so excited. So, as Shalane mentions, they've done the Backstreet Boys, and yeah, that's another one too. There was a TikTok. This was several months ago, but there was a TikTok of Mel C from the Spice Girls asking AJ from the Backstreet Boys if he thought that the Sphere would be a good venue for the Spice Girls. Mike,
interesting.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be. I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I've been waiting almost 30 years to see the Spice Girls live. I don't care if Victoria doesn't want anything to do with them for the rest of her life. 4 out of 5 is fine with me.
Exactly.
But yeah,
we'll just paraphrase and change the number on the Meatloaf song from 2 out of 3 to 4 out of 5.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I would be all over that like a duck on bread. She says a friend of hers is in a Bee Gees tribute show. That's cool.
Oh, cool.
And then of course, the Masked Singer, something Shalane and I have bonded over. They did a Spice Girls night.
Sweet.
And then they also recently did Ozfest with Kelly Osbourne as a special guest judge. But she's also a previous contestant. So now she's got to see what it's like being on the other side. So it was very sweet. It was obviously they recorded it after Ozzy had passed. Because they were all talking about him in the past tense. But just, Kelly was obviously very touched by all these people, because everyone on The Masked Singer is a celebrity of some sort, and some of them had known Ozzy, or sometimes they just met him, sometimes they were just inspired by him. I think that was really touching for Kelly to hear from these people, even if she didn't know who they were, because they're all wearing masks. Say such nice things about her dad. So, and speaking of Toy Story, there is a short where Bonnie plays a video game instead of playing with the toys. And then the toys shut it off. She'll play with them. Which I don't know if I've seen that one. I think about it. Be interesting to see. I think it's one thing when it's a video game. It's another thing when it's like something more portable, like what Bonnie is going to have in the new movie. So where it's going to be a little harder to just be like, well, let's just unplug this from the wall,
Right, yeah.
Because I think that's sort of the thing, is that kids, have these devices, tablets, phones, or whatever, and they can take them anywhere and use them pretty much anywhere. I think is kind of is going to be like the linchpin of it all, I think. And she says, I think they should have stuck with more of those shorts. Yeah, they might still. Then she asks, how many albums have we covered from Queen and the Beatles? Good question. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
I was going to say,
give me a second and I can tell you.
Yeah. I think we're getting close on Queen, but I could be wrong though.
Let's see. Queen, we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then with the Beatles, we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we've done spotlights on each of the guys individually. So yeah, there's still quite a bit, actually. I mean, with Queen, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
Albums, studio albums. That includes the Flash Gordon soundtrack.
Cool. But of course.
Yes. And then, of course, there's also the Freddie Mercury tribute concert.
Ooh, that we need to cover. That we do need to cover.
Yeah. We probably need to discuss Live Aid as a whole, actually.
Yes, that too.
Yeah. And then the Beatles, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 albums left. So, which 2 of those have a movie tied to it. So,
yep.
That includes 2 more movies.
Yep.
And then she says, what's next? What about David Bowie or Metallica? Well, we have done one Metallica. We did do the Black Album.
Oh, yeah, we did.
So
we had Chauncey on there, right?
Yep.
Yes, we did. And yeah, I mean, we talked about David Bowie when he passed, but at the time, he was one of a handful that all happened at the same time, so we didn't spend a ton of time talking about David Bowie. So yeah, we could always discuss the man, as it were, in general. So yeah. Let's treat to Marvel. She says Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer looks amazing. It will probably be a box office success. It probably will be. People love Spider-Man. And of course, once again, Peter's finding himself a mentor First he had Tony Stark and Nick Fury, then he had Doctor Strange, and now Bruce Banner. I mean, he's always gets the smart people, so that's good. Excited to see how it connects to Avengers Doomsday. You and me both, sister. Cue the Disney news. We got news about The Incredibles 3. And Lilo and Stitch 2. More info will likely come at D23 Expo. I agree. The live action Moana. Yes, we did get a trailer for that. Which, I mean, it's the movie. It's the cartoon, but live action. I mean, they still got The Rock to play Maui. I mean, when you cast the same person from the cartoon in the live action, I can't decide if that's like brilliant or just way too meta for my taste. I don't know.
Right.
So,
Jury's still out until you've seen it, huh?
I guess so. Like I said, in general, the live action stuff for the most part, I'm like, whatever. Except for Tangled, because Catherine Hahn is Mother Gothel. Please.
Well, we know
Please
that's happening. We know that's happening. So
yeah. So
Yep.
But yeah, it does pretty much look like a shot-for-shot remake, just like they did with The Lion King. So it's like, if at least try to make it look different, even if you're telling the same story. But it's like, I mean, at least with Cinderella, it wasn't a shot-for-shot remake, and they managed to do pretty good with the Maleficent movie, which is taking something cartoon and putting it in live action and being something completely unique and different. So I really hope the Tangled is not a shot for shot remake. So of course Thomas Kyle is directing, Lin-Manuel Miranda, soon to be Disney legend, is doing the music. And then going back to The Masked Singer, they've gotten in the habit of doing theme nights.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, sometimes they are, at least when the show started, they were a bit more broad, like love songs, or especially depending on when the shows were going to air. Like if it was around Christmas, they had a Christmas special. It was around Halloween, they did spooky stuff, But now they're doing like IPs, and like I said, they've done Spice Girls, they've done Ozfest, which that was pretty good. They did Star Trek because that makes you think of singing.
Well, they did. Well, to be honest, they did a couple episodes, or at least one episode of a most recent run of a Star Trek series where they actually did burst into song. So,
well, and there is Shatner's
yes.
music career.
Well,
I mean,
and
Shatner was
Nimoy,
a contestant.
That is true. And then Leonard Nimoy did do an album, and he did do a song for one of the animated Hobbit movies way back in the day.
Yes, he has the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins. Yes. So, but yeah, Shatner was a contestant on.
Oh, that's right. And Shatner's got a heavy metal album coming out too, supposedly.
Yes, oh my God. That man needs to stop.
Yeah, it keeps them young.
I guess so. Anyway, let's just say when Shatner was on The Masked Singer, I knew it was him immediately the moment he started singing. That was not one I needed any clues or anything to help me guess who.
He's got that distinctive
It's
sound.
so distinct. Like, there's been a handful of contestants on The Masked Singer where I've been like, I know who that is.
Right away,
I don't even need a clue. I can tell you exactly who that is, and I'm not just saying that because that's what Dr. Ken says every time.
Right.
So, yeah. But they've also they did Twilight Night. Like, really? Twilight?
Was that close to Halloween?
No, that was earlier this season. That was like a month ago. Yes.
What was that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a little behind in my viewing of Masked Singer.
Yeah. So I will say it was rather amusing because, of course, they all dress well, except for Robin Thicke because he never dresses up. At least not costumey type dressing up. All the rest of them are good. Sports about it and dress up. I do have to say I was amused because Ken was dressed as essentially he was Michael Sheen's character.
Wow.
The Volturi. The hair and the cape and everything. The only part of Twilight I've ever watched. I watched all the movies. I sped run through all 3 movies and stopped whenever Michael Sheen was on the screen, and then when he was gone, I proceeded to fast forward again.
Basically, you need one of those edits of like this movie series with only him in it, like only show the scenes that he's in it.
I just need the Michael Sheen cut is what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the Snyder cut of anything. I need the Michael Sheen cut.
Michael Sheen cut. Yep.
Oh, especially when he laughs, it's hilarious. Question about Star Trek. How many Star Trek episodes have you covered? Technically, none. Well, we've done we haven't done any specific episodes of Star Trek. We have done a Star Trek episode.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe Jared joined us for that one. That was a while ago.
I think so.
Yeah.
That was quite a while ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking early days of the podcast, if memory serves.
This was the first time Nick has joined you for an Oscars episode. That is true. He's joined us before, but this is the first time on our post Oscars recap. So, going back to the Ferris Bueller's, wasn't there a Deadpool parody of Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Yes, it is the post-credit scene of the very first Deadpool movie. He comes out into the hallway wearing the bathrobe, and essentially doing the same thing, and then he lets us know that Cable is going to be in the next Deadpool movie, which she was in Deadpool 2. So, another favorite scene, Ed Rooney on the bus at the end. Yes. Mm-hmm. She says, I might watch every Best Picture winner with my friend. He's an Oscars expert to prepare for the 100th Oscars. Good luck.
Yeah.
There is a lot. Obviously, if you've been listening to Gold Standard, and obviously our opinions are our opinions, but there are some very, very good movies. Ones that I knew were going to be good. Mm-hmm. There are some that were surprisingly good. There are some that I was like, I went into it completely neutral and I left completely kind of neutral. And then there are the ones where it's like, what the hell was the Academy thinking?
And she channeled her inner MCU.
Mm-hmm. But again,
Nick Fury.
That's my humble opinion.
Yes. But you know what I'm getting at.
And there are also some very long movies. So it will take you some time. Even if you started now, it would still take you some time to try to finish before the 100th Academy Awards. I would think.
Because are some of those kind of hard to find too, depending on year?
Yes. Although, honestly, I think there's only been 2 where I've kind of struggled to be able to get my hands on them. One, no, because that one wasn't a Best Picture winner, so that didn't matter. That's when we did The Godfather 3, but that didn't win Best Picture, so thank goodness. For the most part, I've been able to get my hands on every single one without having to pay for it.
Well, that's good.
So early on, the early stuff, those should be public domain. Some of those are public domain now, so you just got to find where somebody's uploaded it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
The obviously the real recognizable ones you can find almost anywhere. Things like Gone with the Wind and Titanic and stuff. You can probably find just about anywhere. But yeah, for the most part, I have been able to get my hands on every single one and not have to pay for it. So usually through the library, either doing a interlibrary loan because my actual library branch did not have it on hand, or through one of the streaming services that we already subscribed to, so it was already paid for, or the streaming services you can get through your library, or even some random streaming services that are out there that don't cost you anything if you don't mind watching a few ads.
Like your Tubi, your Freevee.
Yeah, some Roku is like that.
Roku, yep. And then sometimes you can find gems on Amazon Prime under their free video stuff.
Yeah.
Or even sometimes their live TV, they'll have free movies, and if you look at the guide, you're like, ooh, gotta remember that time. And boom, you can watch a movie.
Exactly. Support your local library, kids.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
How else have I been able to watch? Well, I wasn't on the episode for the English Patient. I didn't watch it because I knew I wasn't going to be on. But I could have if I wanted to be able to send them feedback. But but how else have I been able to watch 98 Best Picture winners and not have to spend a small fortune? Library, kids. Library.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then she postulates maybe she'll do 1 decade per month. That's still a lot. Especially considering how long some of these movies are. I mean, off the top of my head, just Gone with the Wind, Titanic, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Just those 3 right there are 3 hours plus. So you're looking at, more than an 8-hour workday just for those 3 films. And that's 3 of 98. I mean, like I said, we just did One Battle After Another. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. So it's almost 3 hours. So, yeah, it's a lot.
And some of those movies, the 3 hours feel like a lot more, I imagine.
Right.
Lawrence of Arabia.
Yes, exactly. Wasn't that our punishment movie
slug.
1 year for losing the Oscars, if memory serves? Yeah.
Yep. We've only lost twice, and only one of those times have I genuinely regretted it.
Yeah. We were paraphrasing. We were channeling our inner Anakin Skywalker quite a bit from that second movie. Sand, it gets everywhere. I hate sand.
Yeah. And then when we had to do it for Gold Standard, I was like, well, I've already watched it.
I have to do this again.
I'll just re-listen to the podcast. I'll just re-listen to our podcast episode.
Yeah, really. I probably should have. No, what I did is I kind of like Twilight. I fast forwarded any of the long shots of desert and only watched the parts where people are doing something. That cut down on a lot.
Why did I think of that when we had to watch it the first time?
You didn't know. Right?
I didn't know. I did not know.
Now you know. So, yeah. Anybody, if you have to watch Lawrence of Arabia, if people aren't on the screen, you don't need to be watching it because nothing important is happening.
Unless you like the music, then stick for the music. But otherwise, fast forward.
Unless you really, really, really wanted to go to the desert and you're using it as like an ad to traveling, it's not going to have the same effect as the lovely shots of New Zealand in Lord of the Rings, where you have these long shots, and I immediately want to get on the next flight to New Zealand. Lawrence of Arabia, not so much.
Yeah. Desert, me no likey, me sleep put. I'm happy here.
All right. Moving on. She continues. I didn't expect you to cover Shrek. When you said green, I thought maybe the Muppets or the Hulk or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Haha, we're just full surprises. I grew up in the 2000s during Disney's experimental era, like The Emperor's New Groove, Leland's Treasure Planet. These didn't always do well. Disney stayed strong because of Pixar, the Disney Channel parks, and the live action, like remember the Titans and Pirates of the Caribbean. Meanwhile, DreamWorks had Shrek, Blue Sky, had Ice Age, Horton Hears Who. I grew up loving The Road to El Dorado, The Prince of Egypt, and Shrek. I used to see DreamWorks movies in the theaters and get them on DVD for Christmas. Then DreamWorks became hit or miss. Yes. Then Disney came back strong with the revival era with Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Big Hero 6. Now I mostly stick with Disney, Pixar, Sony, and Warner Brothers and wait for DreamWorks on streaming. Probably smart. I still enjoy DreamWorks Land at Universal Orlando Resort. Kids love all those movies anyway. They don't care about studios. That is true. This will be our second DreamWorks movie after Road to El Dorado. This will be our sixth non-Disney movie. Our second Mike Myers movie. Our second Eddie Murphy movie. Our first Cameron Diaz movie. Our fourth Julie Andrews movie. Our first John Cleese / Idol movie. Shrek is great. The musical is great too. Most people love 1 and 2, don't like 3 and 4. I've never seen beyond 1 and 2. I will tell you that now. We don't need a fifth movie. That is true. The stage musical is pretty great, and we don't need a live action version. That is true too.
I feel like the live action one would be terrifying.
I mean,
honestly,
it's our. I mean, yeah. I mean, they already did like the whole like let's turn Shrek into a good looking air quotes human looking guy in like the third or fourth movie, I think. So even the animated version was like, ooh. So, so I'm leaving the rest of my DreamWorks history in the past. That's probably the best place for it. I think the Disney revival is basically a new renaissance. Whatever you want to call it. Tomato, tomato. You got The Little Mermaid, Princess and the Frog, Beauty and the Beast, Tangled, Aladdin, Wreck-It Ralph, Lion King, Frozen. And yes, the Masked Singer has also done DreamWorks IP nights, including Shrek and Trolls. Dancing with the Stars is the only one that does Disney night, and that's because that's on ABC.
Yep.
It is on a Disney network. That is why. Dancing with the Stars is a Disney thing. Thank you, Shalane, for all that feedback. So sorry that we let it get so backed up. So. Well, Shalane put the cat out of the bag, as it were, or the puss out of the boots.
Yep.
Yeah. I got a story about that too. Got Puss in Boots. We'll get to that. Yes, we were talking about Shrek. Came out in 2001.
Man,
crazy.
Hard to believe.
No,
right?
That was the year I graduated high school. Oh, yes. Oh, the movie itself was directed by Andrew Adamson and Vicki Jensen. It's based upon the book by William Steig. The script was written by Ted Elliott, Terry Rossio, Joe Stillman, and Roger S.H. Schulman. Stars, among others, Mike Myers as Shrek, Eddie Murphy as a donkey, Cameron Diaz as a Princess Fiona, and John Lithgow as Lord Farquaad. So this
Lord
is
loose.
Yes, this is loosely based on a book. The William Steig did not become an author until much later in his life, actually. So he grew up in, I believe, I want to say it was his parents were immigrants, I believe. He grew up in New York. He was born in 1907 He's born in Brooklyn specifically, and then grew up in the Bronx. So the Marvel characters could be happy with that. Yeah, his parents were Polish Jewish immigrants from Austria-Hungary. His father was a house painter, and his mother was a seamstress. And his mother was very encouraging of his artistic endeavors. Even as a kid, he liked to paint, he liked to read, and um, he graduated from prep school at 15. Never completed college, although he attended a few times, but dropped out every time. And it was during the Great Depression, when his dad was unemployed, that he would make drawings and sell his illustrations and cartoons to the magazines to help support the family. His first published work appeared in the New Yorker in 1930, and he ended up contributing more than 2,600 drawings and 117 covers to the New Yorker. But he didn't start writing children's books until he was 61 years old.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. In 1968, he published his first children's book. His third book, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, won the Caldecott Medal.
Oh, I didn't realize that it was the same author. I loved that book when I was little.
I've never heard of this. And you're the second person that's been like, oh, I love that book. I'm like, I've never heard of Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. So, but he actually ended up writing more than 30 children's books. And continued to write into his 90s.
Wow.
Cool.
But it was his picture book Shrek, which was published in 1990, that was the basis for what would become the DreamWorks animation film. So, and actually, because of Shrek 2, he became the first sole creator of an animated movie franchise that went on to generate over $1 billion from theatrical and ancillary markets after only one sequel.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah.
They asked him his opinion about the movie after the first one was released. He said, "It's vulgar, it's disgusting, and I loved it." So yeah. But because it was written, that book was written in 1990. Actually, as early as 1991, Steven Spielberg was going to produce a film version of it when he was at Amblin, and it would have been hand-drawn animation, so very Disney-esque, and was going to star Bill Murray as Shrek and Steve Martin as Donkey.
Huh.
Interesting.
Obviously, that did not happen.
Nope.
So it kind of sat around for a while. And then a few years later, they started production on it, obviously at DreamWorks. This is the mid, early to mid 90s. If we remember our Disney history, Michael Eisner is in charge over at the House of Mouse. Up until a certain point at Disney Animation, there was a guy there named Jeffrey Katzenberg who eventually left. Yes, I know. He pops up every now and then like a bad penny.
Sorry, I was rooting for you.
Yeah. So Jeffrey Katzenberg left the House of Mouse, for better or for worse, and went over to DreamWorks to really continue to do what he was already doing. Just at his paycheck said a different company name on it, really. And of course, him leaving Disney / Pixar, Although it wasn't Disney Pixar yet, but still, they were working alongside Pixar on stuff. So just so happened that, oh goodness, as soon as Jeffrey Katzenberg jumped ship, that the new place he would go to would come out with a movie called Ants. At the same time, Pixar is releasing a movie called A Bug's Life. Imagine that. Among other things. So yeah, so it was like 94-ish is when they got the idea that maybe this was something that they could do. Although, really, what they were aiming for, because they had enough employees they could be doing multiple projects at the same time, and while like their best of the best were working on the project that they really thought was going to be like their crowning jewel, kind of their Snow White, as it were, and be like, look, here we are, look at what we can do, was Prince of Egypt. That's what they were hitching their cart to, was Prince of Egypt. And if you for whatever reason got demoted or anything like that, you were put on Shrek. That was considered a punishment. They would call it, people getting demoted would be called getting Shreked. Because they just said they thought it would be something kind of mid-level, that it probably would make its money back and maybe a little extra, and that would help add to the budget they could spend on Prince of Egypt. Because they were really hanging their hat on Prince of Egypt. So, and this was like their first foray into, we would get Ants after, but this was their first attempt at doing 3D animation. And it was hard. They realized how hard it was.
And it still holds up to this day. I mean, maybe one or two
it still
things
looks good.
here. It still looks good.
Yeah. But, because it's like, obviously Toy Story comes out, 95 and changes everything, but there's no mistaking with Toy Story, they're not photorealistic, but they're not supposed to because they're not human.
Right.
And the few humans that we see aren't on screen really long enough for it to really matter. So Andy, he's not photorealistic. You don't have that uncanny valley thing going on, but it's not that big a deal because he's not the focus. The focus is Woody and Buzz and all the toys. And they look like toys, so that's all that really matters. And Sid is just a psychopath, so it really doesn't matter what he looks like.
Sid can look as bad and crazy as he looks,
exactly.
And nobody's going to question.
Nope. But with Shrek, obviously, with your fairy tale characters, you've got some leeway. Of course, Katzenberg and everybody else, depending on who you ask, the reason that this eventually became not like the second child for DreamWorks, unlike as it started out, where it was like, this was the movie you got sent to if you did something bad. At some point, depending on who you ask, Katzenberg realized that as the story progressed, because originally the story was going to be that Shrek actually wanted to be liked, but people were repulsed by him, and he thought if he could become a brave knight, that people would respect him. And then he would meet Donkey. And Fiona actually was very shallow and egotistical. So that was going to kind of be the plot. And the idea was that Fiona was the gruff and closed off one, and she would eventually learn to not judge, people by their by their appearance, outward appearance. And that was the idea they were going to go with when Chris Farley was playing Shrek. So they hired Chris Farley and to play Shrek. This version of Shrek that was, someone who actually wanted to be loved and love, have someone to care for. And there's a little bit of audio that has been leaked of Chris's recordings, and it sounds, just the vibe you can tell is a lot different than what we ultimately got, but a lot of that has to do with this particular plot that they were aiming for. But yeah, Chris Farley was hired as Shrek. Janine Garofalo was playing Fiona, which when she was going to be brash and sarcastic, then that kind of worked. And then they dropped Garofalo, and to this day she has no idea why she got fired. So I can imagine, considering the version we ended up getting, she just wouldn't have worked. That's not the type of character she plays generally. Right. She's not very princessy. That's not a dig at her. It's just, that's her voice, the way she carries herself. If you've ever seen, like, in Romy and Michelle's high school reunion.
Yep.
Like, that's Janine Garofalo right there. That's the Fiona we probably would have gotten. And that really wouldn't have worked, I think, for the version that we ended up getting. But yeah, Chris Farley recorded like 95% of his dialogue. So he was practically done. And then he died, which kind of put them in a bind.
Yep.
So they're like, okay, well, what can we do? At first, maybe they thought Chris's brother could come in and do the rest of it. He just couldn't do it. He wasn't emotionally in a place to try and do that. For those that don't know, Chris Farley, he died of an overdose. On top of, obviously his weight, I'm sure, did not help any.
Right.
But he used a lot of substances to help him deal with his anxiety and other mental health issues, and it ultimately cost him his life. So yeah, they were kind of like, what do we do? And of course, Chris had been on Saturday Night Live, and it's like, well, we need somebody with kind of that same mindset, and experience behind them, that sort of thing. So they settled on Mike Myers, and asked him if he would do it. At first, he didn't want to because it was Chris's thing. He had known Chris, and it was he didn't really think that the part was the type of character that he wanted to do. He just didn't think, like, his vocals and stuff would work for the script. So that's when they revamped the script to what we have now, where Shrek is the crass, closed off, curmudgeon, and Donkey and Fiona end up coming into his life and teaching him that you can be friends with people, and not everybody thinks that you're awful. Yes, just based on your looks, or even if they get to know you, they don't necessarily think you're awful. So they revamped the script so it's to what we have now. Myers recorded the entire thing using his regular voice, and he, after seeing some like some tests and the like, he's like, he's like, the voice just doesn't work. And thankfully, thankfully, Katzenberg, I think, with Steven Spielberg's assistance to get, make sure that he actually, listened to reason. In my humble opinion, after hearing a demo, agreed that Shrek's voice needed to change. And Mike is like, I need to record all of this dialogue. And they agreed. Katzenberg and Spielberg agreed. So they scrapped pretty much everything and let Myers re-record all of the dialogue with the Scottish accent that we've come to know for Shrek.
To do that.
Yeah. It cost them $5 million to do it. But I think, all things considering, I think it was money well spent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Katzenberg even said after the fact, is like, it made the movie so much better. So, every once in a while, Jeffrey Katzenberg does do the right thing. As I like to say, a stop clock is right twice a day.
Yep.
That is Jeffrey Katzenberg.
And this is one of the times where he made the right decision.
Yep. So, but in the process, and it also, with the accents and the revamp of the script, that also, from it being, Shrek being the kind of the forlorn, he's really just a big old softy type. They were able to, switching it to Shrek being very sarcastic and brash. That offered up a lot of opportunities for jokes, and a lot of visual gags as well. Changing Fiona to the damsel in distress, but not so much the distress part.
Right.
I mean, she goes all kung fu.
Care of herself too.
Yeah, she has a Matrix moment there. Yeah, I mean, Cameron Diaz. She was one of one of Charlie's angels, so she knew how to kick ass. So they channeled that into her performance of Fiona. Of course, having Eddie Murphy, who, if you ever seen his stand up, he can be not so PC as a number of the comics of his era were. And so that offered it up to have humor that was good for kids and for the parents. Because you have to think of also this era. This is 2001. And when you have a cartoon released, an animated film released, kids are going to see it and be like, oh, it's a cartoon. I want to go see that. You kind of had to go to the movie theater. And of course, if you're going with little kids, they can't send them to the movie theater by themselves, which means parents have to go too. So it helps if there are jokes in there for the parents as well.
And that go over the kids' heads.
But still go over the kids. Yeah.
At
So go over Yeah, exactly. So unlike now where, if your kids want to watch something that's on streaming, you can turn it on your TV and the parents can go about their business and not have to worry about it. So I can see that. And I get it. And I kind of like that too. I kind of like when the humor is mixed.
Same.
Yeah.
So, and of course, I mean, this movie starts with essentially a poop joke.
Yep.
I mean, Shrek's on the toilet.
Yep.
So,
right out of the starting gate.
Yeah, I mean, there's, this, and of course, we're talking about a land of fairy tales. So there's ample opportunity to utilize all sorts of characters. Obviously, Fiona is an original princess, but you've got Snow White and you've got three little. It's not just like Disney type characters, but you got three little pigs and the gingerbread man. Yeah.
Poor Gingy.
Yeah, poor Gigi. Gumdrop buttons.
Yeah.
God bless us, everyone. Um, but like as I was alluding to earlier, depending on who you ask, at some point, as the story was getting fleshed out and everything, especially once it switched to this, where it's a bit more crass and that sort of thing, that Katzenberg, in all of his genius, realized that this could be an opportunity for him to stick it to Eisner and his former employer by making them the butt of several jokes.
Yep.
And again, depending on who you ask, Farquaad may or may not have been modeled after Eisner.
Not surprised.
Of course,
The land did they go to visit?
Land far, far away. And of course, you got some princesses that are fairly recognizable, but they got to change the look of them so that they're not infringing on any sort of recognizable Disney IP. But they've got their own like little It's a Small World type singing dolls, singing about how wonderful the land of Duloc is.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's lots of and I think it kind of depends on one, where you think Katzenberg was psychologically, which that's not a rabbit hole I really want to go down. How you feel about Disney in general, comparatively. Some people just can't stand Disney because of all the happily ever after whatever, and some people can't stand the princesses. Some people can't stand It's a Small World. Although Disney made that joke in one of their own movies, Hello, Lion King. So it's just one of those. I interpret it how you will, I think. Because I don't think you're going to get a solid answer. Like I said, depending on who you ask, what kind of, and stories may change if you'd ask people then versus now. Again, their answers may change. But so once I got it dialed in, the computer animation production started in late 1996 and took almost up until the release to finish it. It is a lot of work. Even now, even with the advancement with the computing power and everything, it still takes a little bit to do the animation and then render it out into something that's actually watchable. But their ability to make things less CGI-ish-esque, I guess, looking if they want to, or some things that were harder to animate then versus now. Because like back then, like two of their big, I guess, kind of not issues, but speed bumps were Donkey's fur and Fiona wanting her to look human, almost lifelike, but not in that uncanny valley kind of way.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
So, yeah. So yeah, they and they got with time they've been able to figure it out. But it took them some time. Now, it's still time consuming, but they can do quite intricate things with animation. If you look at some of the stuff that Disney and Pixar has been able to do now, like when they did Brave, I mean, they were able to write code for the animation for all of Merida's hair so that it kept that wild, messy, very that wild red hair, head of hair that she has. So but yeah, it took a long time to for them to do the animation. So, but obviously, it was well worth the time, and the heartache and the starting over from scratch more than once, to get the completed project. And because it just so happens that the year when they released Shrek, that it would qualify to be nominated for the very first ever Academy Award for feature-length animated movie. Because yes, it wasn't till the early 2000s, kids, before that was a category. We had short form animation. Walt won that all the time. That's why Walt Disney is one of the most decorated people in Academy Awards history, is because he could tear it up in the short, animated short, and sometimes the documentary categories as well. But yeah, even with Beauty and the Beast getting nominated for Best Picture all the way back in the early 90s, it still took them almost a decade for them to add a feature-length animated film category. And then who's the first studio to win? Not Disney. This newish company called DreamWorks. Even though the Disney as a company had been around for almost 80 years at this point. Oh my. They were not the first ones to win in this. I mean, they've won a lot since then. But still, they were not the first ones to win. It went to Shrek. And it did so well that the same weekend that it opened, they announced that they were going to be working on a sequel. It did so well right out of the gate that DreamWorks was like, Prince of who? Egypt of what? Never heard of it. Obviously then not the case. They did finish it and release it. Soundtrack's really good, actually. So yeah. Oops, hold on. Lost my thing. So of course it doesn't hurt that there's some really good music in this movie as well. There's the Rufus Wainwright version of the song Hallelujah.
Oh, that is such a
that's on the
awesome
soundtrack. In the film, it's actually John Cale. And then of course, it All Star starts the movie, which was not supposed to be the song that starts the movie. That was just there as a placeholder. But it tested so well that they were all like, okay, sure, we'll keep that in there. And it's become a meme ever since. How many times have you been on social media, Evan, watching something, and all of a sudden you just get that clip of Shrek kicking open his outhouse, and somebody, Funny was still, which that song was huge when I was in high school. I don't know how many times people would start singing that on the bus on the way to marching band competitions. I have no idea. So that was a big, big song when I was in high school there. And then of course they had uh Smash Mouth do a cover of I'm a Believer for the ending of the movie, which it's a cover. I guess I'd have to look. I don't think the Monkeys version was a cover because I don't think it necessarily been recorded before they did. I know Neil Diamond wrote it.
Right. I don't think Neil ever performed it until after the Monkees made it a hit, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So, but yes, Neil Diamond originally wrote that. Wrote I'm a Believer. It's supposedly there's a story that Neil Diamond went to see Shrek. He may have gone to the premiere for all I know. Like, hey, he's the guy that wrote that song. Let's invite him to the premiere. Anyway, he was at a screening of Shrek, and when it was over and he was exiting, he saw a group of kids standing around singing I'm a Believer.
Cool.
And he just kind of joined in with them and started singing it too. And these kids had no idea. Like, first of all, he was Neil Diamond,
right?
Legend among legends in the first place. Second, he's the guy that wrote the song that they were all singing. I could not for the life of me remember if anybody had, if he had recorded a version of that before the Monkees did or not. So unlike Pleasant Valley Sunday, which Carole King had already had. So anyway. So yeah. Of course the soundtrack as a whole is is pretty good. Very well, I wouldn't say very early 2000s coded, but kind of. But yeah, I mean and they continue to do that throughout the franchise. Covering known songs.
Yeah.
So
supposedly to my research, Neil did record a version of I'm a Believer, but it was a few years after the Monkees had recorded it and made it a hit.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Fair enough. So.
Yeah, almost 10 years, 13 years, because he recorded it in 79 while the Monkees recorded the song in 66. So about 13 years if my math is correct there.
Yeah. So so yeah, it was released on VHS and DVD. This was still the era where you could get VHS in late 2001. It surpassed Star Wars Episode 1 record for being the fastest selling DVD title of all time. Selling 2.5 million copies within the first 3 days of release.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yes. And it sold another 4.5 million copies on VHS in the same time span, making it the biggest opening weekend in retail video since The Lion King. Let's see. Paramount acquired the rights to all live-action films DreamWorks had released between 1997 and 2005, following Viacom's $1.6 billion acquisition of the company's live-action film assets and television assets. Paramount signed a 6-year distribution agreement for past and future DreamWorks Animation films, with DreamWorks Animation having spun off into a separate company from the live-action division in 2004. There was a 10-film box set released in 2010 titled DreamWorks Animation Ultimate Box Set, which includes Shrek, Shrek 2, Shrek the Third, and 7 other DreamWorks Animation films. There was a 3D version released on Blu-ray in 2010. Let's see. 2012, DreamWorks Animation's distribution agreement with Paramount officially ended. 2014, DreamWorks Animation announced they had reacquired the distribution rights to all of their films from Paramount, transferring these rights to their new distribution partner, 20th Century Fox, which is, as of this recording, is why you can watch all 3 Shrek movies on Disney Plus. Let that sink in.
Mm-hmm. We have now come full circle.
Pretty much. Katzenberg helps produce this movie to stick it to his old employer. 25 years later, you can stream said franchise on his old employer's streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, Radio Disney refused to let any ads air for the soundtrack because they felt like they were giving air to the competition. And eventually they changed their mind because they realized there's money to be had. But still, again, full circle.
Yep.
So.
It's probably some sour grapes, a little bitterness.
So yeah, it's it did pretty good. At least the first one, it did really well. Roger Ebert gave it 4 stars out of a possible 4, describing it as jolly and wicked, filled with sly in-jokes and yet somehow possessing a heart. Eddie Murphy's performance was especially praised by a number of people, stating it gives the comic performance of his career, aided by sensational digital artistry as he brays for the slightly neurotic Motormouth. Richard Schickel of the Time stated, "No one has ever made a funnier jackass of himself than Murphy."
Pun intended?
I think so. And it did go, like I said, it won the very first Best Animated Feature award at the Academy Awards, at the 74th Academy Awards. Which, I mean, considering what was on the list for that very first year, yeah, I don't know if I can necessarily argue for that something else should have won, because there were only 3 nominees that first year. It was Shrek, Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, and Monsters Inc. Yes. I mean, and I like Monsters Inc.
Me too. Yeah.
But it's not my favorite Pixar.
Yeah.
So, you know, all things considering, I don't think I can necessarily argue with that if that was its competition.
Yeah. So. I think, because basically for me, if I had to pick, it would have to come down to Shrek and Monsters Inc., and it would have to be a coin flip.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
It might just depend on what kind of mood I'm in.
Right. I mean, Monsters Inc. is probably in my top 10, maybe top 5 of Pixar movies that have been made. But I don't think Monsters Inc. is necessarily in the number 1 top spot. Like you said, it depends on mood.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to pick my favorite Pixar film, it's Incredibles. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
So yeah, but yeah, it picked up a lot of awards that were animated related, of course. This was, I believe, the first animated feature to premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. I think, what did I read? I think it was either Pinocchio or Peter Pan in like the 50s. So, And it actually got nominated for the Palme d'Or. It didn't win, but I got nominated for the Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Wow.
Which is saying something. So.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy got nominated for a BAFTA for Best Actor in a Supporting Role.
Wow. And BAFTAs usually don't do animated, right? Or am I off base with that?
It doesn't matter. This has nothing to do with animation. Okay. It's just Best Supporting Actor.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, this is the same category that Sean Penn won at the Oscars this year. Oh, but the fact that he got nominated for a voiceover role, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, but can we get any other, voice roles or motion capture to get nominated for this sort of thing? No.
It was almost like, okay, here, one-time deal. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's like that's a big deal. big deal. Of course, since then we've gotten there's 4 sequels.
A total of 4. There's
total of 4.
Yeah. Well, and then
Shrek 2, Shrek the Third, and then Shrek Forever After.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a 5th one being made.
Oh, I did not know that.
I thought. Yeah, it was like.
I mean, they could have kept doing. I mean, I guess they could have done. They could have gone the Despicable Me route and just started doing spin-offs.
Mm-hmm. Well, they did.
Like they did with the Minions.
We can count Puss in Boots. We can count Puss.
Oh
Puss
my
in
God!
Boots.
I haven't seen this. I haven't seen the second Puss in Boots. That was released. Like what, 10 years ago? Not that long. Not that long ago.
Or maybe a little bit less.
4 years ago, but still. Okay. I mean, it seems like it's been 20. Still 4 years ago. Seems like it's forever ago. But the first Puss in Boots. Okay. Little side story. So the first Puss in Boots was released in 2011. That same year, or maybe it was early, I think maybe it was late 2011. It had been released, and then it was now available on like rental and the like. It wasn't in theaters anymore. So we did a family trip, Chauncey and I, with his parents, his brother, and at the time his fiance, now his wife. So we did a family trip to Chicago for an overnight trip to just do some shopping and some sightseeing. It was, I think, in between Christmas and New Year's or something. Yeah, or in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think. So, or maybe been right after New Year's. It was cold, I can tell you that much. It was really, really cold. Which does not help in a city that's famous for being windy, because that just adds to the wind chill. You would know something.
Yes.
Lake effect. Lake effect.
Oh, yes. Lake effect. Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Midwest being cold that time of year anyway.
Yeah. So where my in-laws live-ish, there's a train you can take from the Michiana area, South Bend area, to Chicago. So that's what we did. So we took the train into the city, and we sightseed, we walked around, we had dinner, and then we checked into our hotel, and we all had each couple had their own hotel room, but we all went to my in-laws' hotel room to watch a movie before settling in for the night, and we decided to watch Puss in Boots, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, even now, I wish if I thought about it, because my in-laws were just here over the weekend. They left this morning. I should have brought it up knowing we were going to talk about this. But even now, if you were to go up to my father-in-law and just go, ooh, with big eyes and slowly move your hand to your mouth, bust a gut. That's what we took from that movie, is that one side character where somebody would do something or say something and he'd be like, woo! Yeah. Absolutely just tickled us all to no end. And like the rest of the weekend, just randomly, we'd be like, woo! So yes, yeah. Puss in Boots, 15 years later. One
I can still
running
remember when
gag.
they introduced him in the Shrek movies, and just after he got introduced, just everybody imitating the look, the kitty cat eyes, like holding the hat.
Yeah,
like,
the big eyes. Yeah.
Please give me.
It's like, how can you look so small and sad and vulnerable when you're voiced by Antonio Banderas?
Banderas.
Yes. Right.
Kitty got claws.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now there is a musical version that
I vaguely remember that.
Yes, the Shrek the Musical opened in late 2008, ran for a total of 441 performances. It
That's
starred
not bad. That's not shabby.
Brian D.R.C. James as Shrek, Sutton Foster as Princess Fiona, Christopher Cyber as Lord Farquaad, and Daniel Breaker as Donkey. So, yeah, that yeah. So 441 performances. There's a pro shot available on DVD and Blu-ray. It has toured in the US. There's also been a London production. It won the 2009 Tony Award for Best Costume Design and received 5 Laurence Olivier Award nominations, including Best New Musical.
Wow.
It is also available for licensing for your more amateur local productions, and I've yet to hear confirmation, but supposedly that is what we're doing for our musical for the next school year.
Oh, very cool.
We shall see. That's the rumor on the streets, but I've yet to, I'll probably know more when the school year starts after the summer. But yeah. So yeah, we're supposed to be getting a 5th movie. Supposedly Donkey is gonna get his own spin-off at some point, which again, yeah. Why not?
Right.
And it's not like, I'm sure Eddie Murphy is just like, bring me that wonderful, wonderful DreamWorks money. So, the music in Shrek the Musical, for the most of it, is original, although I'm a Believer is the closing number. Because duh. But yeah, there's the rest of it is all original. It's not like it's a jukebox musical or something. So it's actually quite impressive, the costumes and everything. Considering like Shrek would not exist in real life. Yeah. Based on his shape and everything. So you can definitely tell that Chris Farley still lives on in the look of Shrek. And then they've put a few things in there as nods to Chris that that this was supposed to be his role, which I think is very sweet.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that's Shrek. First Oscar winner for animated feature. For better for worse. And just because the distribution rights and everything have changed hands. I believe as of we're recording this, you can go to Universal in Florida and meet Donkey. They do have Donkey that he'll talk to you, he'll crack jokes. You know, you can have a full-on conversation with Donkey. He's quite funny actually. So I don't know about the other characters, but they do have Donkey. Or at least they did. I don't know what all has changed since they added the Dark Universe and all that fun stuff. But yeah. Like I said, I only ever saw the first two. I've had no desire to see the other two. I probably should watch the second Puss in Boots movie though, because I've heard it's actually pretty good. And I really like the first Puss in Boots movie. So not just the running gag that we kept in the family, but I remember it being genuinely funny as a whole. So, and from what I hear, the second one is actually pretty good too. So who knew? Who knew Katzenberg had it in?
Yeah.
No. I'm not going to give that man a whole lot of credit. If anything, I'm going to give it to the rest of the crew. And, you know, Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy and Cameron.
It wasn't so bad being Shrek, was it, creation team?
Considering they walked away with a freaking Oscar at the end of it, yeah, I'd say so.
Right?
Thank you for Shrekking us.
Mm-hmm. You can't take away that. All those people that got relegated, Prince of Egypt to Shrek, and now can put that they worked on an Academy, you know, not just an Academy Award winning movie, but the first movie to win in that category.
Yes.
On their resume for the rest of their lives.
Right.
I mean, and it doesn't hurt that it's actually a good movie too, as we were saying earlier.
Right.
Not all the Best Picture winners are real winners.
Right, exactly.
But in this case, it's a legitimately good movie. So,
yes. I mean, I mean, it's been years since I sat down and watched Shrek. But, I mean, going back and rewatching, it's like, holy cow. You know,
yeah.
I picked up on stuff that I missed the other previous numerous times I watched. I'm like, oh,
yeah, I was gonna say, I'd imagine being a little older that some of the jokes are probably gonna land a little differently now.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Like, oh my gosh, okay, they actually went there. Okay, I did not. They did not realize that the first time, or okay, okay, now being a few years older. Okay, yeah, what I originally thought. Okay, yeah, I got confirmed.
Yeah. It's like, oh, now I get that joke. Oh, I can't believe they put that in a kids movie.
Right?
And they got that one got by the censors. Okay.
Like the kids in the test of the audiences weren't offended. Neither were their parents. So it's
parents. We're good.
Nobody's throwing tomatoes. We're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I was in college when it originally came out. Don't get me wrong, but still.
I mean, like I said, that was it came out the same year I graduated high school. So yes, technically I was an adult, but I was a very sheltered 18-year-old. So yeah.
Well, exactly.
There was still a lot that would have gone over my head.
Yeah, there was still a lot to be learned. Well, and then once you got out of high school and into college, your friends group sometimes branch. You got exposed to more things, so you kind of picked up quick on some stuff.
What, your parents liked it or not?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yes.
I was 11 when it came out, so a lot of stuff definitely went over my head.
But there was still stuff in there for your age, though.
Exactly.
So that's the nice thing about it.
Now there's stuff for you at your age now.
Yes.
So your little 11-year-old self that's still there can look like, okay, and then your current age self like, okay, yay, we're both enjoying this.
Exactly.
We're all suddenly Captain America. I understood that reference.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
I understood that joke.
Yep.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm.
Well, any more thoughts on our greenie meanie, our second greenie meanie?
If you haven't seen it,
I don't want to take the title away from the Grinch. Yeah.
right. If you haven't seen it, watch it, but don't just tilt your head sideways and go for it when Shrek falls head over heels in love for a dragon. Let's just put it that way. He scored high on the charisma on that one.
Yeah, we're trying to decide if it's the dragon or donkey that's secretly a bard.
Yep.
Oh. And hence the animal magnetism. Pun intended.
Intended, yes.
That occurs between him and dragon, and we're just gonna wave the D&D magic hand for how a dragon and a donkey can procreate.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's magic.
Yeah. The less we think about that, the better.
Yeah. They were granted a boon of parenthood. Let's just put it that way. They were granted a wish of parenthood.
Yeah.
They rolled the wish die and they scored a couple nat 20s.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if any of our listeners want to send in their 2 cents about Shrek or DreamWorks or Jeffrey Katzenberg, I don't know why you would, but you can. You can send us an email.
Not get read, it will get looked at.
Depending on what it says. You can email us, fivishfangirls@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, which is thefivishfangirls.com, where you can connect with all of our various social media accounts, podcasts related, and our individual ones as well. There you could also find information on things like the book club and all the fun stuffs, how to support us monetarily if you are so inclined, and merch and all the things, all the stuffs on the interwebs, because that's where we live, is on the interwebs. So we appreciate all of your support. And well, I'm not going to say anything about next week because actually we may be changing some things around schedule wise. It's like I created a schedule and then some stuff came up, so now I got to adjust the schedule. So
like
we'll
we said, we keep it in pencil for a reason.
Exactly.
So, but just know that we will be back soon with more shenanigans. That we can guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Bangor saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'm not going to say goodnight. We can stay up late swapping movie stories. And in the morning, I'm making waffles. Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, thefivishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FivishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.